my beautiful, 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 beautiful Baba dog is that. Oh my gosh, that beautiful Baba dog. My Booba. Look at those large hands. They are so beautiful. Those are beautiful, beautiful fingers, are those? Yes. Nice. Nice and strong and powerful, muscular. Look at that. Beautiful, muscular shoulder. Yes. He could play in the movie Snow White. He could play one of the dwarves. Yes, that's what he could do. He could play one of the dwarves. The dwarf named David. Yes. That beautiful, beautiful Baba is it. Look at that Baba. I love my Baba more than anything. Yes. More than anything and more than myself. Yes, that is the truth. I'll give my life for Baba anytime. Yes. So, okay, making a video. Oh, I just wanted to explain something in regards to the video I made yesterday. Light is coming from here now. So, this is my beautiful, beautiful Baba, is that. So I wanted to explain something that is on my mind. I have been reviewing some of my former videos and I don't like the way I look. So anyway, but it is I don't even like the way I talk. I try to look pretty, but I don't think it works that well. But I make the best out of my life, and I try to feel the best about myself as I can, not just superficially make myself sort of more pleasant, but feel more pleasant about myself. I think that is really the core of it for all of us. And that's what I want to talk about in this video, because I think most people, they do not feel good about themselves. And I have a story to tell. So there's a story from LA that I want to share, and that is a story about my experience with the messengers of light. I don't know if you ever heard about the messengers of light, but and it was I've been on a quest of holistic healing while I met that woman, but I had not heard about them before. It was around 2003. I was standing in front of Barnes and Noble in Marina del Rey, petitioning for the whales, as I have been doing almost every day, and it made me feel like I was doing something. Things were sort of like on the roll, because I was doing something. I was giving my effort into it, and I wasn't sitting idly at home watching this horrible thing going on, hearing from the non-profit organizations about the news on active sonar and all of this, and not doing anything. So I was actually out there. I was doing something. I was out there in blasting heat and sunshine. I was out there in wind and weather and in coldness, and people called me creep. And I can't worry. They called me Halloween on Halloween, and I can't worry about this because as creepy or weird it came across to other people that I was standing there, in front of a store with my petition board, with probably a kind of weird expression on my face. So yeah, I came across as a bit of a weirdo with my monk haircut and all of this. But anyway, I was doing something. And so one day, it was a sunny afternoon. I was in front of Barnes and Noble, and this woman comes across. This woman, I was in my I was in my 30s. The woman was around 55 or something, and I got her attention. She signed my petition to save the whales, to stop active sonar, and I talked to her for a while, and she said that she was a worker for Messengers of Light, and I didn't know who that group was, never heard about them. And she said, why don't you come over and attend one of our courses? It's free, all you need to do is bring a bottle of water. And I said, okay, I will check them out. And she said, it's taking place in a rented facility in the building that is owned by the Freemasons. And I heard about the Freemasons before from Jim Mars, who is a conspiracy theorist and who wrote about Freemasons and Skull of Bones and many other kind of like secret or open societies that are out there, and made them claimed that they are secretive and that they are having agendas, and they probably have some sort of hand washing behind the doors going on and whatnot. But when I got there to the Freemasons, the people didn't strike me as very happy. I mean, the actual Freemasons members that were down in the lobby, they struck me as very secretive and very unhappy and fearful. So, but we didn't have anything to do with them. They were just renting. They were renting these upper rooms from their building. And so I went upstairs to the Messengers of Light, and they were playing music by Enya. And that was the first time I heard Enya's music. And I thought it was very ethereal and very beautiful and very artistic music. And so it's a new age type of ceremony that they were celebrating. And so we were sitting there around the center. On the side there were like seats and all the way around the wall, and I was sitting there next to a teenage black girl, and the teenage black girl and we were watching this ceremony. They only had so much room, so they could only have like 10 people lying down in the center on the tables that they assembled there for this. It's sort of like an energy healing session, and with the music of Enya. It was very beautiful. And so this black teenage girl, she is the daughter of one of the energy workers that were laying their hands on the patients. And I'm making a video about my experience in LA with the Messengers of Light. And it was a little bit weird, like the way these older women were lying there on those tables. So that teenage girl and we both simultaneously started to snicker a little bit about it. And I understood fully why she was snickering about this. This had some kind of situation comedy in it, this whole thing. So, but anyway, once they were done, the session was about, I don't know, 20 minutes or half an hour, and then the next row of people that were waiting, the teenage girl and it was our turn, and we lied down on those tables, and they were situated sort of in a circle. And these, I don't know, 7 or 8 messengers of light workers were walking around these people that were lying on the table, and they were doing energy healing with their hands. And close the door, please. The door. Okay, no, I'm making video. This is very important. I cannot turn this off. I cannot edit this. Sorry. So just close the door now. Let me finish the video, and then you can take a shower later, or you can do it now. I'm not filming you. So anyway, it was very interesting. Um, the leader of the messengers of light, I think her name was Fatima, and she was from Brazil, and a beautiful woman, of Middle Eastern descent, very intelligent, very deeply connected to the earth, very in tune with the infinite. She came to my body and she did some energy work, and it was very interesting. And she didn't know anything about me at all. And she did something with my head, with her hands, and very, very gentle hand movements over my whole scalp. It felt very good. And then she kissed me on the forehead, and she was very touched. She almost cried. And she said, "You're gonna be okay. I know that there is something very deeply going on in your brain, and there's a lot of turmoil and a lot of suffering and a lot of confusion, and you're very sensitive, but you're gonna make it. You're not gonna be destroyed by the brutality of life that is out there." And I was so grateful for her to say that. And I had another session with another woman like a year later, and she said the same thing. She didn't know anything about me either. She did something with my head, and then she said, "You're gonna be okay." And so anyway, at the end of these two healing rounds that they were doing, we all placed a bottle of water on the stage, and they did a healing on the water bottles. They did an energy surge that was going into those water bottles. This is so fascinating, this whole thing. So I took that water bottle home, but at the end of these two healing rounds, in the very end, the one guy, I think it was the partner of Fatima, also from Brazil, he gave some sort of like a closing lecture and a closing presentation of, I don't know, 10 minutes or something. And he said that he was very concerned, and he said, see, most of those clients were older women, actually. And he said that what he observed in those people that were lying on the tables, that that they all have a very, very horrible self-image. That's why I was telling this story, because I'm talking about self-image and how people have such a horrible, horrible self-image, and how they feel very, very ugly and very bad and undesirable, and they feel like they kind of like give up on themselves, and they beat up on themselves, and they constantly compare themselves to other people, particularly in LA. That's like really serious. That's the mecca of comparisons and insecurity. And he was very concerned, and he said, most of you do not know how to love yourselves, and most of you are completely detached from yourselves and from loving yourselves and from valuing your bodies in particular, and also your minds, your actual beingness, the child that is within yourself. You have detached yourself from that, and that is very serious. And you must find back to loving yourself for who you really are, with everything about you, that even the stuff that you don't like or that you think you need to fix or you patch up or you need to nip and tuck or whatever, you need to love it. You need to love all of yourselves 100% unconditionally. I'd always do this here. I kiss my own wrist. This is the wrist that I hurt one time when I was lifting something very heavy, and then I couldn't use my arm for 4 weeks, and it was very difficult, only being bound to using my right hand and not having this one to work with at all, and it was very painful every time I was moving it. It was a carpal tunnel that was very serious, because I overstrained it lifting Paul's bed up the stairs, and he always thinks I am this big this big construction worker that can lift up anything. But I can't. I am a woman after all. Underneath all the fat layers that bumped me up to the Michelin tire man, making me look like some kind of tough construction type of guy, and I'm not. So, yeah, so after that I started kissing my wrist to give it good energy and to heal it, and it worked. And I didn't do very much with my wrist at that time. I didn't even know how to apply any of these other lotions that I was making, the self-healing creams and the crystal healing. That was all before I had that knowledge. So all I knew is kissing my wrist, and it was healing up. It really literally, I was kissing my wrist into health, kind of like what you do with children, and I do it with Dave. So Dave had an operation, and I always kiss on that part where he had the operation. That was before we got him. And you're not supposed to operate anything out of a body, because when you operate something out, you take the risk to initiate a process of metastases, and you're not supposed to do this at all. I saw film on this, very important. So that's why you're not supposed to touch something that that could be some kind of a tumor or something. So that has to be left alone, has to be treated holistically. So anyway, I had seen that film already in LA, and I think I saw that also somewhere around 2003 when I went to the Messengers of Light. I was on my healing quest and on my knowledge quest of holistic healing, and I knew that it was going in all of these directions. The deeper you go, the more you go outside of the yank back effect of what people can accept as possible. So you go beyond that, you get into what people call the metaphysics. And so that's what they were doing. They were way outside of that range of acceptance, socially accepted range of healing methodology, and they were getting into what is called energy work, energy healing, and it really worked. And so it was very interesting for me to see that guy, to hear that guy talk about how people do not accept themselves, and I see it on the internet all the time, and I see what people do when they don't accept themselves. They will lash out against other people, and they will hate people who they're jealous of, like Trisha Paytas, who is kind of like a self-made sex diva, and I find it sad that she had to do it self-made. Why can't she be an officially celebrated sex diva? Why do people have to tippy toe around that and do the little sneak peeking behind the scenes, and the lusting and the peeping of her, They can't publicly officially admit that they are lusting after her, or the women are being jealous of her. They can't admit that the jealousy either. So all of this sneaky type of stuff, is what I find so sad, and that's what causes so many problems in society. That's why I said in my other video, I didn't mean myself as, people. I don't know if there are people jealous of me, but I doubt that that is the case. But I see that there are so many people jealous. I see them in chat rooms. They're so incredibly jealous, and they pick apart every other woman that comes in those chat rooms, because these most women, they want to have the attention for themselves, and jealousy is a form of self-hate. It's very, very simple. Anyone who's jealous of someone else, and the more unconscious the jealousy is, the worse is the self-hate. If we can get out of this, and if we can finally acknowledge and say, I'm jealous, and I have experienced jealousy. I'm talking about it because I personally have been jealous. I've been jealous of so many other women that I thought had that what I wanted, or what I thought, what I associated with as being tough, and being not vulnerable, and being desirable, and being lovely, and all of these attributes that I desire, like what I associate with, my little brother. When he was a baby, I was jealous of him, so I project that into the adult life, and I project that onto women who kind of represent my little brother when he was a baby, so like, big round face and chubby, and I find that very desirable and cute. That's very, very much out of the overall beauty idea and in society, but I've never been a person who is conform with any of these things. I always have my own criteria. So yeah, so that's why I had to become extra chubby, because that's the only way I could accept myself. And I see also that, but I see that those are also the desired ones, not the really obese ones, but the chubby ones. But this is a couple of sizes more than that is officially accepted by society. So there's a discrepancy between the official acceptance and the secret peeping. And I find that very interesting, all of this. And then on the women's side, the jealousy, the self-hate. Some of them are very skinny, and they fit right into the beauty ideal of Hollywood and society. But then they get there, they get invited to parties, they get invited to dinners, expensive dinners, they get their jewelry and their diamonds. But wait a minute, they're not the ones ending up with the guy at night in bed. Uh, they're the ones who get parked back at home, and the guy is going to his man cave, and there in that man cave, they're gonna get themselves a Trisha Paytas. Oops, yes. So, but then that Trisha Paytas woman, whoever that is, of any color, she gets parked back in her place, and she doesn't get the diamonds, and she doesn't get the nice parties, and the nice dinners and expensive restaurants, but she gets the cuddling at least, or you know the lasting, and all of this feeling I am wanted. you know that weighs more than the dinners. But all of this is totally lopsided. You understand what I'm talking about? It shouldn't have to be that way. It really should not have to be that way. I think the chubby desired girl should get the diamond too. And the skinny anorexic lady should do therapy. and start loving herself and become chubby, and then things can balance out. You would all look so much more desirable, so much sexier, and so much more wholesome, and so much better if you gained a couple of pounds. I'm not saying like unhealthy overweight, but chubby, like way more than the society tolerates. So I don't know if we're gonna gradually heal in that direction, but when I see Trisha Paytas, this gives me hope, because this gives a new paradigm for society in general, because there are a lot of people, also a lot of teenagers, who see her and see her feeling sexy and comfortable with the few extra pounds. So although she is struggling and would like to be thinner, but she does love herself. I can see this. She does love herself the way she is. She does find herself. She she enjoys that, the extra pounds. She feels sexy in that. And that's wonderful and good, and we should admit that. I feel much sexier with more weight, and I don't see this as a pathology. If I was like really obese, morbidly obese, and wanted that, then no, that's bordering onto mental pathology, into psychological pathology, where there's something really, really seriously wrong, you know that makes me destroy myself. So because that's destructive. But anorexia is equally destructive, and that is a symptom of social pressure, and that's very, very, very dangerous, and that has killed a lot of people. I know people who have died from it. I know a woman who I have met one time on the same street where we were living, who I hear from someone else on that street who told me, "You know that lady? Have you seen her?" I said, "Yeah, I've been to her house. We were petitioning for something. I saw her. She was skin and bones." Yeah, she died in the hospital. She refused to eat. She was on life support for a long time, but didn't make it. This is this is what I call radical. This is radical insanity. Okay, and I'm not accusing that girl who died. She's a victim of Calvin Klein and peer pressure and Hollywood and all of this, because it takes on a life on its own. Who has the bigger sticking out collarbone? You know, it becomes an absurdity of um, of Cinderella, of whatever this fairy tale is. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who has the most sticking out collarbone in the world? And that is not something we should tolerate. We should not accept this. We should love ourselves for who we are, with the fat and everything, and feel good about it. And that's where it goes to. That's the direction it goes to. This is where we have to go to. When we can accept ourselves and love ourselves, then we automatically open up the door inside of our own brains to love all other life forms. We can see the beauty of the animals and love them, and kiss their bellies and love them wholeheartedly. When we open up that door inside, the door also to loving ourselves. Those people who are clenched in a state of, like my mother, who criticizes extra weight. She says, if you are a pancake, then don't. If you sell yourself as a pancake, then don't be surprised if you're eaten as a pancake. This is what I've heard her say many, many times. Or she'll mock me and she'll say, you won't fit through this door one day anymore. Or she'll say, look, you people who are fat look stupid, and all of these, these negative, snarky, hostile, trollish, troll energy statements, that people have heard and have passed on to someone else. This is highly irresponsible to do this. We need to get away from that. The, the same as the people in the chat rooms, those women that are jealous. My message to them is, look at the situation, look at it, look at yourself, introspect, and see what you're doing here. You are in a state of clinging. You are in a state of lashing out because you're clinging to this pride of the collarbone sticking out, and you're denying your own life, your own cells. And you need to dissolve this right now at the spot. With this recognition comes action. Do it. Dissolve that. And be that chubby, hippie girl again that you once were when you were a teenager, and that maybe that was bullied or whatever. Come to this realization. Love, this is who you are. That's your body. Love your body. And then things will heal. You must love yourself, and then things will heal up naturally, and you will be able to love again. Love all life. Okay, you guys take care.